This is the Simulation Football League, presented by 8 p.m. Music on YouTube. It's the land of the loons, the land of the lakes, and here in the SFL, the land of the legend. Will a return home result in a return to winning ways for Minnesota, or will the San Diego Mavericks, who are on their first flyaway game, spoil the party? It's the Mavs and Legend, next on SFL YouTube. Good evening, folks. I'm Tyler Falk. Welcome into Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota for tonight's Week 3 action. Joining me in the booth, once again, is my partner, Brett Solberg. Brett, just last week we were witness to a first-time meeting between the Fort Worth Toros and the Seattle Nemesis. That game went all the way to the wire. Let's hope for more of the same here.
Yeah, going back to that loon thing, what better two loons to call this game than myself and Tyler? How about that, guys? But like you said, we're talking about two teams, high-powered offensive machines. We talk about the Minnesota Legend. Everything stops and starts with Colin Hart. And with San Diego, everything stops and starts with everybody's favorite quarterback in Johnny Pickler. It's going to be interesting if they change up their game plans to adjust themselves, both offensively and defensively, to switch things up. Both teams are looking to get over that 500 hump right now to get 2-1. Let's see who's going to get that 2 in their win marker.
Both these offenses have stayed pretty clean, not giving up too many in the form of turnovers. We'll see what happens tonight, as here we go from Minnesota here in Week 3 of the SFL. Back deep to return. On the return here for San Diego is Lili Nakai, and she will get all the way out to the 25-yard line and no further, and that is where Johnny Pickler and the rest of the San Diego Maverick offense will set up shop.
Yeah, and Pickler has been a very throwy quarterback so far this season. 67 attempts over 2 games, but he's got to watch out. That completion percentage, one of the only quarterbacks in the league through the first 2 weeks under 50% completion percentage.
Not often we get to see this about Johnny Pickler. Last in that category, 47.8%. He looks over the middle and hits his first target of the ball game. That's a good completion, good enough all the way for a good maybe 20-yard pickup for Eagle Mondavi.
And Pickler heads up right to his favorite target so far this season, Eagle Mondavi, with his 11th reception this season. He has been the benefactor of Johnny Pickler, 4 of Johnny Pickler's 6 touchdowns so far this season. Both lead the league so far, both in passing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns from Eagle and Pickler.
Another first down, second play of the ball game from the 45. Quick hitter over the middle is caught by the tight end Benji Matson. Only a gain of 3 on that time, and that'll give us a chance to introduce you to the Maverick offense. We've already talked about Pickler. Halfbacks are Hunter McWaffle and Sudo Nakai are the 2 tailbacks. Fullbacks are Mateo Pravado and Rob Noel. Wide receivers are B. Robo, Lili Nakai, Dave Axis, and Eagle Mondavi. Tight ends, Benji Matson and Adam Williams. And on the line, there's 4 of them. We'll get to them here in just a second, as spinning and turning his way around is Hunter McWaffle for another gain of 1. 4 linemen for the Mavs. That's Jacob Reed, Brunter Grajam, Anthony Anderson, and Chris Back.
Quick third down here from San Diego after that quick first down. So let's see if they can get their first conversion of the game here.
5 wide in the pattern here for Pickler as he sends Mondavi in motion. 3rd and 6 for San Diego from his own 49-yard line. Pickler rolling out. Has to get rid of it. Middle. It is incomplete. Trying to find, I think that was Robo, but denying him was Cody Griffin, and it's a punting situation for San Diego.
Yeah, kind of throwing a little bit off his back foot there, it looked like, from Pickler. And it was a pretty good look from him. It's just the receiver kind of bobbled it a little. Almost got intercepted by Cody Griffin there. And there you go, quick 3 and out after the quick first down. Minnesota early on responding well to this passing game.
Henry Glenn, the undrafted rookie, will punt this one away here for San Diego. And the return will start for Minnesota back at their own 15 and scrounging his way to the 19-yard line. That was, I wanted to say King Bradshaw, it was Rick Evans getting the return, and that results and where the 19-yard line is for Johnny Reno and company to start their first drive for Minnesota.
Yeah, and there should be no one look on this first play here. We should expect it going to running back Colin Hart. He's got 75 carries through the first 2 games alone here.
One of the leading rushers in terms of carries, yards, and leading the league in rushing touchdowns with 7. As his day starts off with only a gain of 1, tackled by Nate Hall, the safety, and let's meet the rest of the Minnesota offense. Of course, we mentioned both Reno, the quarterback, and Hart, the tailback. No fullback for this run-happy offense, so it relies on its wide receivers, Vincalia, Queg Mam, Jay Taylor, and Deezer Powell, with tight ends Jason France and Jay Hayden. And on the line, leading the way at guard is Dusty Wilson. 2nd and 9. Here's a better hole for Hart to scamper through, and he gets a good gain of about 6 yards before he is stopped.
Yeah, and this is one of the things Minnesota likes to do. Early on, give the ball to Colin Hart, let him set the momentum to see where this Minnesota offense can take it. Because you're not going to see a lot of passes from Reno early on. It's only if they're desperate and they're down that they're going to see more Reno passes.
And a linebacker sent a blitz and then came off of it as Reno looks middle, caught by Vincalia for a first down for the legend.
And probably one of the best acquisitions Minnesota has made is to beef up that wide receiver core. And you're talking about getting an elite player like Deezer Powell from Queen City, and now adding Vincalia from the London Knights to add to bolster that, now to make it an elite wide receiver core. And Calia doing a great job so far, under 100 yards receiving through the first 2 games. But he's been a good part of that passing offense. He's one of 3 receivers to get passing touchdowns.
4-man rush. Reno's pass is deflected. Beautiful play from the lineman Bobo Caudill.
And that's one of the things you have to be weary of, in this era now, is going to be pass deflection, especially from the big guys, the brothers Caudill, the family Caudill here, both 6'7", 350. So we should see deflections aplenty from him.
Take a shot for every special teams play, says DJ the Myth. Thank you for the $2 super chat as we go back here to 2nd down. Reno middle, caught. There's Powell, the aforementioned Queen City acquisition.
Yeah, and right now, why not get it to your best receivers right now? I'd say Powell and Calia are both 1A and 1B in terms of depth charts, prospectively. So get it to your two elite players right away, and set the brunt off of Colin Hart's shoulders here by getting to the passing game a little bit more, making San Diego's defense kind of change their game plan.
Fullback in motion here for the legend. 6:35 to go. Reno again going to pass. Right side. That is also hauled in by Jay Taylor. We have seen a lot of passing out of Minnesota on this first drive, contrary to what we were expecting here, Brett.
3 of 4 to start off from Johnny Reno here, and only 2 carries on this drive for Colin Hart. They're really switching things up and really changing the mindset for this San Diego defense, which might have, been ready for Colin Hart runs, but not ready for Johnny Reno to sling this rock early in this first quarter.
So just inside the 30-yard line, a new fresh set of downs here for Minnesota as they come out in an I formation. Powell in motion now. Under 6 minutes to go here in the opening frame. Handoff. Hart back to work. Looking for extra space and eventually taken down by King Bradshaw. And let's meet the rest of that San Diego defense. Biff Markham, Cam Crosby, the brothers Rylan and Bobo Caudill on the line. Jeff Gagne, Al Farouk Amino, Freddie Trammell, and Zach Holdorf at linebacker. Tom Blitzkrieg and Stuart Zomelia alongside Tanner Hendricks, and the lovely, amazing, perfect pink Lisa at corner. King Bradshaw, Nate Hall, Danny Carmichael, and Bob Funk are the safeties, as that will round out the last bit of starters for San Diego as Hart gets the first down carry.
Yeah, and Colin Hart's going to continue to, I wouldn't say exploit, but take advantage of that burst of speed that he always has right away off the gun after he gets that ball handed off to him. That's an instant 3 yards all the time from him.
Approaching the halfway point now in the first quarter. Middle linebacker blitz, but Hart sneaks it through. He will eventually find 7 more yards, and it seems like when this offensive line is able to create holes, he's averaging right around 7 yards of carry.
Yeah, and that's all the offensive line needs to do is just create gaps, create these holes for Colin Hart to run through and just worry about him getting past that second and third level of defense.
Heavy eye look. Here comes Hart again, trying to sneak through a couple more tackles. Got out of the would-be tackle of Gagne for the first down.
Yeah, and once Colin Hart gets going, you might as well just say get all 10 guys from San Diego right in front of Colin Hart. Get everyone to touch him before he gets on the ground, because there's no stopping him when he gets going.
Another heavy look out of the Minnesota offense. First and goal now from the 5 on a very long drive. They'll go again with Hart. This time got back a few yards. Going to lose about 4. Freddie Trammell, amongst others, in on the stop.
Yeah, and that's just Colin Hart getting stuck on his right tackle, which gave plenty of time for any of the San Diego defenders to get ahead and find out that Hart has the football and stop him behind the line. Now it's going to be second and goal from the 6 here.
12th play of the drive for Minnesota. Hart, left side, looking for extra space and nothing doing. King Bradshaw this time brings him down.
Yeah, and I think no doubt here it's going to be 3 plays of runs from Minnesota. So I think San Diego's going to be ready for this one. They gain a couple yards back, almost at neutral ground from their first and goal situation here. But this offensive line needs to be ready. But look at the 3 wide receivers on the top of your screen here. Don't be surprised if we see a fade route from one of them.
3 DBs in that area to try and cover on blitz. Coming down goes Reno. Clutch sack from Ryland Caudill.
We saw Bobo with the pass deflection earlier, and now Ryland comes in and says, you know what? I'll do you one better, Bobo. I'm going to just get to the quarterback himself. No chance from Johnny Reno to get that ball out of his hands, and now it's going to be a 3-point attempt here for the Minnesota Legend.
A clutch goal line stand from the San Diego Mavericks brings out the kicking unit with Mickey Malillo from the left hash. Snap spot kick is up, and it is good. And that will result in our first point of the contest. 3-0. It's the hometown Legend on the board first. It's 3-0. If you're new to this simulation football league, welcome. The SFL is football for everyone. Get off the sideline and start your player today by joining our Discord server at simulationfl.net. Click the Join the Community button to begin your career, or just to meet the stars of the SFL on and off the field. It's never too late to get involved. Ensuing kickoff for Lily Nakai will result in her taking a knee deep in her own end zone, and so San Diego will start their second drive on their own 20.
Now, here's what San Diego needs to do now is just, now that they stopped them in that goal line situation, Pickler and company need to find a way to respond in some way. They had the early first down, but then they got stifled really quickly afterwards with a 3-and-out after.
First play will be a pass. 3-man rush pass, nearly hauled in by Eagle. One-handed outstretched hand, knocked aside by a hit from Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, a little bit overthrown there from Pickler, so Eagle had to outstretch his wing to see if he can get that football in him, but then he gets hit right on the catch. He can't manage to haul it in.
We'll touch on the rest of those Minnesota defenders here in just a moment. Pickler in trouble, having to roll and fire into double coverage, looking for Matson, the tight end, just couldn't haul it in. And let's introduce you now to those defensive starters for Minnesota. Mark Mello, Angela Meerkat, Axel Raven, Max Knight, Buster Johnson, and Brookie Burr. All the defensive lineman starters for Minnesota. Stephen Black, Miles Gibson, Juan Mississippi, and Jason Clay are the linebackers, with Nicholas Frossel, Johnny Bravo, Cody Griffin, and Rick Evans at corner, with Daniel Wright and Derek Meerkat rounding out the defensive starters, playing center field at safety. 5-wide look here for San Diego. Looking to avoid a 3-and-out. Passing right side. Open is Eagle, and Eagle will haul this one in before he is brought down. It's a gain of 15 plus. And a
Yeah,
burst.
and that one was just the Minnesota defense really sagging off a little bit too much. You can see Johnny Bravo just sagging back about 3 or 4 yards too much. So any of those medium to semi-long routes were going to be open, and it was just an easy throw for Pickler.
16 total yards on the pitch and catch from Pickler to Mondavi as they now come out with a 3-wide I formation look. Pickler going to look to throw. Blitz coming. Fires it near side. That is caught by B. Robo in traffic. Gains 9.5.
Yeah, a little bit more of a risky throw, but you've got that surefire hands of B. Robo to get a secure catch, especially with a Minnesota defender drapesing around him. Great job by Robo.
Heavy offset, weak eye. You're on second and short from the 45-yard line. Handoff up the middle goes McWaffle, and McWaffle will easily pick up the first.
Yeah, and this is what you'll see from the San Diego offense in short down situations. From 2 1-yard inch situations, you're going to see handoffs to Hunter McWaffle, but they've got a bevy of running backs to choose from. They could go with anyone. Suda Nakai, they've got Mateo Privado, they got Rob Noel. The list is endless.
Will throw again. He finds Robo again in double coverage. A perfect placement of that pass results in another first down.
Yeah, you said it, partner. It was just a picture-perfect throw, literally throwing a needle past a hoop there from Pickler in between the two defenders. Cody Griffin and Daniel Wright had difficulty trying to, at least get his hands on the football, and it went right into the hands of Robo.
This drive started out looking like it was just going to fizzle out from the moment it started, and now San Diego finds themselves in the outskirts of the red zone. Rolling his picker, firing his Pickler, and nearly picking it off was Derek Meerkat.
Yeah, and that's all Minnesota needs to do if they're going to keep looking for Pater each time. They don't need an interception early on. They just need to get Pickler a little bit frazzled here, and that can sometimes be incompletion. So great job from Meerkat to at least get the pass deflection.
Just over a minute to go here in the quarter. 2 tight end look here for Pickler as he's back to throw again. Looking right side, that is caught. Another catch for Robo, and it sets up 1st and goal.
Yeah, first quarter MVP right now, B.E. Robo with some big catches here for what feels like San Diego might have their drive stifled, and he still manages to grab those catches. But again, it just looks like this time it was Johnny Bravo missing an assignment there in between, probably a cross route between one of the 2 receivers, and that led to looked like both receivers getting open, and the safety had to choose which one to go through. He went with the deep option instead of the shorter one.
3rd catch of the ball game for Robo, right around 50 yards in total here in the first quarter alone. They'll go to the ground game. McWaffle with blockers in front of him, and he will high step his way into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego!
Yeah, joint group effort from the San Diego offense. Linemen, tight end, wide receivers included in there. Great job leading the way from Rob Noel ahead so that McWaffle has a little bit of a gap to run and kind of follow the line a bit, so that he can get that easy touchdown. Great work from San Diego after a response from a long drive from Minnesota earlier on.
McWaffle was running right toward the waffle at the top of the stadium. Probably wanted to snag that and bring that with him back to the huddle, as that results in a very good 9.80-yard drive, taking up only 2 minutes, 23 seconds, as the Mavericks will take the lead, and it's Cliff Allen's, special teams!
Special
7-3,
teams!
San Diego. And Cliff Allen will get an extra special teams duty as he will boot this one away here for a return here potentially from Minnesota, as Evans will decide not to return this one. Down for a touchback as Minnesota will start their next possession on the 20.
Yeah, and it might be, kind of the same drive that they did last time. They kind of started things off with passing the football, and we saw Johnny Reno kind of sling it, and then they started trusting on Colin Hart a little bit once they got in enemy territory. Are they going to do the same thing on this drive?
Split backfield with 2 wide receivers here for Johnny Reno. 4-man rush rolling left. Reno looking, corner out, caught. First down near the 40-yard line is Vincalia.
Yeah, and it just looked like King Bradshaw was just not ready for that pass to be hucked his way, because that was clear one-on-one between receiver and safety, it looked like, and he just didn't even have it hands up. It wasn't even King Bradshaw. It was Jeff Gagne, the outside linebacker, playing against a receiver. That almost feels like an unwinnable battle for the linebacker.
Give him 19 yards on the reception as we are quickly approaching the end of the quarter. Will he get this play off in time? They will. Reno will throw on the last play of the first quarter. Looking underneath, could not haul it in. It was Jay Taylor, and that results in the end of the quarter. And our score is 7-3. San Diego, week 3 of the SFL rolls on here from Minnesota. You're watching the SFL on YouTube. Welcome back to Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm Tyler Falk, joined in the booth here by Brett Solberg. A special thanks to our statistician, Zach Holdorf, the Corn Man, and I Like Ike McBride. And of course, a special thank you to our league commissioner, Cameron Irvine, who's also producing each and every single one of every SFL game. Pass right side, it's our first Viva La France sighting, and it's a first down catch for Jason.
And a little bit of a sag off from Nate Hall, which resulted in Jason France getting a little bit open mid-throw as well. You can see he kind of sags off a little bit. Maybe he was deciding between wanting either an interception attempt or a pass deflection. He doesn't act on it, and it results in Jason France getting that open catch and getting a quick first down here for Minnesota entering the second quarter.
And it's super tough to cover those wide receivers. That's an 8-inch difference between Nate Hall and Jason France, the big body tight end, doing something spectacular, and a spectacular grab from Kalia, reaching out into the nether region, trying to snag that ball, and he comes up with it.
Yeah, and a tough catch from Kalia as he was overthrown by about a good 2 yards. Manages to get one hand on it as well. You know what, Tyler? I'd say that's some nice hands from good old Vin Kalia there.
I would have to agree, partner, as that's our nice hands catch the ball game brought to you by Retroid. We'll capture that here in just a second, as this one is also caught by Kalia. We're just going to have to keep talking about his hands because he wants you to put a Retroid in the palm of your hands to play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K23, brought to you by Retroid.
Talk about squeezing a quarter into a square hole. That's just an amazing throw from Johnny Reno as well, and it looked like it was going to get a pass deflection from King Bradshaw. This time it goes straight in the hands of Vin Kalia, and this passing game for Minnesota is really cooking now.
Second trip inside the red zone here for Minnesota. They only walked away with the field goal the last time they were here. Reno looking right side. Spinning was France, but unable to come up with it.
Yeah, a little bit of stone hands from France there after that nice catch earlier on in this quarter here. Manages to just kind of bobble it a little bit as he was, kind of falling backwards. But it's not too bad for Minnesota still. They're still, within range here. They're inside the red zone. They can kind of calm things down if they want to.
Pretty wide here for Reno as he looks to throw again. Deep bomb, middle. That's caught inside the 5. Deezer Powell brings the legend right onto the doorstep of the end zone.
Yeah, you want to talk about red zone threats in the SFL. Deezer Powell is definitely the red zone threat to worry about in this offense. And we'll probably see it more as we go later into the season. But Deezer Powell, he's a menace to society sometimes, so you always have to keep an eye on it.
Comes the heavy look here for Hart. He runs in the teeth of that defense on the right-hand side. He'll pick up just a couple yards, inching them closer to the goal line.
We have to remember here, Minnesota has just been in this situation not 6 minutes ago here, so they really want to punch this one in and really, instead of getting a field goal out of this, get some major points.
Goal line I versus goal line D. Handoff Hart runs into the clear, and there's the league's leading rusher in touchdowns, and Minnesota retakes the lead.
Yeah, in his third game, already has 8 rushing touchdowns now in the season. It might all be skewed because he had 6 the one game, but nonetheless, 8 touchdowns is 8 touchdowns, and Minnesota responding in kind after San Diego got a scoring drive of their own here. Now Minnesota, an extra point away from leading by a field goal.
And Melillo's kick is up and good. It's now 10-3 your scoreline. Eerily similar drives from both clubs on their last two drives. It's now 10-7 Minnesota. For all the league highlights, photo galleries, major and minor league stats and leaderboards, community content, and plenty more, check out the league's website at simulationfl.net, presented by Football Shift. Stay up to date and explore our past, present, and future as Lili gets blasted near the 29-yard line.
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting how San Diego's going to approach this drive here. Minnesota responded in kind after their scoring drive. So, and right now, Pickler's doing all right so far. 6 of 10, 91 yards. He hasn't, thrown any super erratic passes so far. And McWaffle has done his job so far with his 3 carries for 13 yards and a touchdown.
Pitch play near side. First look at Pseudo Nakai as he tries to bully a couple defenders. One does fall for him, but the second one was draped all over him.
Yeah, the big change this season from Nakai is that he beefed up so that he can be the resident power back for San Diego. Interesting that they went with a toss play for the not as fast and agile as Hunter McWaffle, Pseudo Nakai here, but at least they got some yards out of it. 2nd and 6.
This time it is McWaffle getting the call, and he sneaks through a few defenders. Beautiful open field running from McWaffle as he crosses midfield.
Lather that man in butter, and it's always good to have butter on a McWaffle here as Hunter finds his way, slipping through one defender, slipping through two, and it got to Miles Gibson just pushing him down a little bit forward ahead, now into enemy territory after just 2 plays.
Now from just over the halfway point in the field, they'll now run again through the left-hand side, maybe a yard, if any. And there's Pseudo Nakai. The earlier runner was the big body fullback Pravado, and Nakai unable to do very much at all.
Yeah, you'll have to pardon us on that because both Pravado and Nakai look alike when, they're 50 feet away from our booth here. But nonetheless, good stop from Minnesota after a long run from McWaffle.
High formation, quick drop, quick hitter over for the tight end, Benji Matson, and he'll pick up 4.
Yeah, and at least it gets them a little bit moving forward here. Opens up that playbook for 3rd and 6. You want those medium down situations so that it's a little bit easier to breathe for Pickler and company.
That will bring up 3rd down. Trips to Pickler's left. 4 DBs in the area. Corner blitz coming. And down will go Pickler. The extra man set. Confused the assignments in blocking. And Stephen Black comes up with a sack. And it's 4th down.
And credit the Minnesota legend to getting to Johnny Pickler for the first time this season on an edge blitz coming from both linebackers. You saw Stephen Black as well, as it looked like Miles Gibson was part of it as well, and Pickler wasn't ready for it after that play action.
That will mean we'll see the second punt of the ball game from Henry Glenn. Tries a high spiraling punt to left side of the field. No fair catch by Rick Evans, only able to grab maybe 3 yards before he's eventually brought down, and that is where Minnesota will start their next drive.
Yeah, they could really make some damage out of this now. They did a key stop for when San Diego looked like it was just going to be a back-and-forth tennis matchup between these two offenses, and now Minnesota's made a key stop, and now this offense, who, has really started to get things going, could really make some damage and extend this lead.
We'll start with a pass here from Marino, looking near side. There's Kalia again for Minnesota.
And you know what? Whatever's going to work and keep Vin Kalia open, you keep feeding the football to him. 5th reception in this half here. And it was just a nice in and out coming from Kalia, and it was a tough one-on-one battle between him and his defender. So great job from Pickler to pinpoint that football to where only Kalia can get to it.
He's close to 100 yards receiving here just in the first half alone. They will look to throw again. Little dump off here for Reno, but excellent awareness from King Bradshaw, who followed Kalia underneath and just swatted the ball out of the air.
And it wasn't just King Bradshaw. There was a bevy of white jerseys from the San Diego defense who looked to be ready for any of those short passes. And Reno, you know, good on him to at least get it close to Kalia's hands, but it's a little bit risky with 3 defenders around.
Not a single run yet on this drive. We'll see what they do here as Minnesota spread the field with 4 wide. They'll look right side. That is caught by Powell, and they'll say he got touched down before he could spring back to his feet.
And again, trust on your two key receivers here. 9 receptions between Powell and Kalia so far in this game, which is a good omen if you want to keep them warm and keep them hot.
5-step drop here from Reno under pressure, and down he goes! Cam Frosby says hello, our 3rd different player with the sack in the game.
And probably the biggest London acquisition in this league, coming out of San Diego, getting Cam Frosby on defense. He was a menace last season for the London Knights. Now bringing his talents over to San Diego, and that's what you get out of him, is going to be that presence to get to quarterbacks.
So we usually get to talk about Mickey Melillo, and you hear the cheers of Mickey every time he kicks a field goal here, but now we get to cheer Minnie Melillo as Minnie will punt this one away here for San Diego to try and make a return out of. And a decent little return up to the 30-yard line by the Mr. Sleeves or the Diva or the host of Axis Live. It's Dave Axis on the return.
Yeah, this is his first bit of action so far in this game, but at least he got a couple yards out of it. Decent blocking in front of him to get a couple yards in. But now San Diego, now they've responded in kind defensively. Can San Diego take advantage of this and see if they can either tie or take the lead here?
So what can San Diego do down by 3 late on in this first half of action? Can they come away with any points? Dump off over the middle, looking for Madsen. Nothing doing. That was a dangerous pass to the middle.
Yeah, and that's what Pickler needs to fear here, is that sometimes he gets going a little bit early, but then the defenses start to understand what he's trying to get to, and that's what's led to the sub 50% completion percentage over the first 2 weeks. They start getting used to where his throws are going, and that we don't want to see Johnny Pickler sub 50% here.
Pickler will look to throw, blitz coming, and then he throws it away! A spectacular leaping interception by Miles Gibson.
And that was straight into the hands of Gibson as well. He used his outstretched arms to grab it, but I'm not sure if his receiver would have gotten to it. It didn't look like Benji Madsen was ready for that pass at all, but nonetheless, great form, great jump from Gibson, and now turning things quickly around here for Minnesota, deep into enemy territory, 15 yards away from the red zone.
Miles Gibson had only 1 interception through his first 4 seasons here in the SFL. Already this season with that interception, brings his total to 3 total in his career. Passing, looking for France. France hit from behind hard before the ball got to him, and now just to compound matters here, they'll call pass interference on King Bradshaw.
Yeah, and that one's a tough one to kind of gauge when it's live, because you're not sure if Jason France got a hold of the football first, but you'll see King Bradshaw, he's right on the hands here. There might have been a little bit of a bump beforehand, as you can see, but that's a tough call. That might be one of the tougher calls of pass interference so far through these first 2.5 weeks.
It seems like here in the SFL, after the regulation changes, if you will, the referees, R62 no longer here, and these referees are a little bit more stringent On the calls is Pickler. Another pass
Again.
from Reno, and again another flag will fly, and it's back-to-back PIs on San Diego.
And this time it's going to go into the unfortunate eyes of Zach Holdorf this time. And there might have been some bumping going on mid-throw, but geez Louise, 2 straight pass interference calls, just compounding things even worse for the San Diego defense. Now the legend at the 15.
He's pulling double duty. He's playing on the field and in the stat struct tonight as Reno looking back in the end zone, and maybe the Mavericks were playing just a bit too far off after the penalties, and Deezer Powell comes away with the touchdown.
And I said this earlier in this first quarter, you think about red zone threats in this league, Deezer Powell is on top of that list. And that's just smart. First play after back-to-back pass interference calls heading Jason France's way. This time it's just a slip, an easy bump off of the defender, and just wide open space for Powell. The safety has to come in and try to play, backup, and it's just not enough time for him to catch up. Right into Powell's hands, and Minnesota breaks this lead open, possibly into double digits.
And you could see the celebrations and the look of relief on Powell's face after the touchdown. That's his first touchdown as a Minnesota legend coming over from Queen City. His 98th career touchdown. And that will bring us for an extended Minnesota lead, 17-7. And if you're liking the game so far, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There is no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLM action and help the channel grow through your support. Little brief tidbit on the SFLM partner as we were taking a look along with the fans is the SFLM soon to announce some major changes as they approach their 8th season in existence.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this minor league is going to go with this new era, and we're going to see how these players kind of form as their own unique type.
So many more willing prospects wanting to be, well, here on the field right now with every one of these SFL Pro teams as the pass left side. That is caught by Robo, another big hitter for him as they continue to try and get back in this game.
Nice little turnaround from Pickler as well after throwing the interception. Goes right into the breadbasket of Robo. Again, only place where anyone can catch that football is in Robo's hands. And, like you said, Robo has been the guy that they've relied on so far in this first half with his 4 receptions for 70 yards.
We'll look to throw again. Open left side is Eagle Montavi. And he gets across midfield close to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, and it looked like Minnesota was playing a little bit of zone defense there, which is going to leave open holes in the right offense. This time, setting a little bit too far back again is going to be Cody Griffin, and he's done that a couple times in this. It looks like this zone kind of style defense, which has led to Eagle Mondavi getting open for these 10, 12-yard catches.
Quickly, 2 plays see San Diego jump across midfield, but can they keep the momentum going? They go to the ground game as McWaffle drags defenders with them for a gain of 6.
Yeah, and a good momentum setting run here from McWaffle on this set of downs sets up a 2nd and medium kind of semi-short situation. And the favorite thing you hear from a coach's mouth is open up the playbook.
The ground game again. McWaffle rolling out of 1 tackle, but dragged down by Johnny Bravo. No gain.
Yeah, and that's that persistent Minnesota defense coming in again, kind of making a little bit of a tough time for McWaffle. He might have, a big run here and there, but that Minnesota defense really straightens themselves out after the big runs and stops them sometimes at the line or behind.
San Diego only 1 of 3 on 3rd down. Play action. Pickler has time, now gets rid of it, nearly thrown away right back to Miles Gibson. That could have been pick 6 territory.
Yeah, and that's too low of a throw from Pickler there. He's got to rainbow that one out if he wants to get that catch. 2-minute warning.
2 to go here in the first half. San Diego down by 10. Look, we'll have to put it away when we come back. This is the SFL on YouTube. Henry Gibson will be back to punt this, or Henry Gren, excuse me, back to punt this one away. It's an angled punt inside the 20-yard line, and that will pin Minnesota by about their 16-yard line. And that'll be an extended field for them to work with here, under 2 to go.
Yeah, and a $1.50 to go here. And I say this all the time when it comes to 2-minute drill. Decision time here, this time for the legend. Do they want to really expand this league and make it a tough time for San Diego to come back? Or are they fine with this 10-point lead?
They will get the ball to start the second half. They will return the opening second half kickoff. So let's see what they do decide to go with. Start with a run from Hart up the middle, and for one of the very few times this season, Hart only able to get 5 in the game versus the Ramblers. He was running roughshod over Indy.
Yeah, and the big thing is it put Colin Hart on the map this season as one of the running backs to watch. You know, we talk about the Ezekiel Loves, the BDG Hollywoods, the Robert Redfords of this league, and Colin Hart kind of gets left behind because he's always been that, you know, upper mid-tier running back. And this time he comes in, debut season, comes with a splash.
And this time the fullback who gets the call, only 2 yards. The clock will continue to drain. Trammell in there on the stop. And back to Hart again, partner. We talk about him, you know, every so often. Back when he was with Sioux Falls, he was a really decent running back, especially in that system. But we kind of forget he's top 5 all time in carries, yards, and touchdowns. He's chasing now Robert Redford, who is sitting at second all time. And he gets another call here, and he will get the first down and a little extra close to that 30-yard line as the clock is more than likely going to run out here on the next play.
Yeah, it looks like they're ready to just settle into the 17-7 game, head to the locker room, and, you know, get prepared for any adjustments San Diego is going to bring, both offensively and defensively. And I wouldn't be too surprised heading into this third quarter that they keep giving the rock to Colin Hart. Just 12 carries in this first half.
Reno happy to let the clock run down as high as possible as Hart gets another call, another 5 yards. Trammell there in on the stop, and there's no hurry up. No hustle at the moment for Minnesota, and so that is where we will end off the first half. 17-7, your score line here from Northwood Stadium, partner, as we begin to take a deeper dive quickly here in the intermission. We have reached halftime here from St. Paul, and let's start talking about what Minnesota has to do to keep this lead and how San Diego has to come back.
And it's just 2 things for Minnesota that they need to continue doing here is, you know, rely on that hot hand of Johnny Reno and continue dominating the time possession. We saw it on Minnesota's first drive here. It might have resulted in only 3 points, but it wasted 5.5 minutes off of that first quarter clock. So, you know, that San Diego offense had to start off a little bit cold, waiting on the sidelines. And that's what's resulted in possibly, you know, Minnesota really revving things up here in this second quarter. Just remember, it was 7-3 at one point. Now, all of a sudden, 14 unanswered points makes it 17-7 here for Minnesota.
And how about the Mavericks defense, Parker? Really controlling Colin Hart, only around 50 yards on the ground here through a half a play. They seem to have that part of the game plans figured out, but as we welcome back to Northwood Stadium, it's the passing attack that they're really going to have to try and manipulate and halt and try and come back in this game, as they will kick it off to see what adjustments they made during halftime. Cliff Allen has the ball on the tee. We are set to go here for quarter number 3 as away we go once again. Turn will start from near the 6-yard line. Rick Evans trying to look left on the return. He is brought down by Lili Nakai, and that is where Minnesota will start their opening half possession.
Yeah, and you know, an underrated fact so far in this game, Johnny Reno in this first half, 13 of 17 for 180 yards in the first half. His QBR nearing 130. That's a great rating to have entering the second half.
Reno under center will hand off to Hart, who goes up the middle, and he is thrown backward by Bob Funk. First time we've really called his name here today, partner.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be more of that secondary help coming in from San Diego to keep continuing to stifle Colin Hart moving forward. He's starting to get a little bit of an engine to him right now. 14th carry now. We should expect more.
Hart again, and they go back to the ground game. This one working out
beautifully.
beautifully.
There it is.
Here goes Hart down the sideline, inside the 20, 10, touchdown. All Colin Hart as Minnesota break open the game.
And Colin Hart just said to the San Diego defense, "You think you can stop me twice in a row? Nah, that ain't gonna work for me, son," as it's just all Colin Hart. The offensive line gave him an open hole so that he can run through, and then he just blasted himself forward past the secondary and tertiary levels of defense. Just one spin move and bam, he's outrunning Jeff Gagne. He's outrunning the safeties. He's outrunning any linebacker trying to get to him. That is the explosiveness that Colin Hart has had over these 2.5 weeks so far, and has led to touchdown number 9 on the ground.
Besides him purposely bumping into his own blocker, Colin Hart went untouched all the way down the field. 67 yards for Colin Hart. And it's quickly 24-7. Legend with a commanding lead.
And this is what Minnesota wanted. They wanted to have that big lead, so it forces San Diego's hand to throw it to Pickler, who has had, a rough first couple of weeks here, and he's having a little bit of a rough time here. His QBR is now a little bit shot after that incredible interception from Miles Gibson.
Big booming kick from Malillo. Will be taken down back in the end zone, down for a touchback, and for the first time today, we go to SFL headquarters for a game break with Cam and Irvine.
Thank you, Tyler. Charleston up 10-7 on Jacksonville, where O.J. Bruin finds Khalil Thomas, the one-handed pick from the linebacker, according to T-Roy Gaines, his first pick of his career. Predators about to tack on a field goal now, 13-7 potentially in the second quarter. Back to you all in Minnesota. Kick is good.
And what a spectacular grab.
Oh, look at this.
For that completely threw me completely off. All of a sudden, it's Suna Nakai on the Wildcat for a good 4-yard run.
Yeah, you wouldn't have expected this, and all of a sudden we see, stepping back on a 7-step drop is Suna Nakai on first down, but he gets 4 yards. Hey, that worked.
They'll go more conventional here on second down, as McWaffle will gain 4 more yards. They'll be third and short.
Yeah, I think Nakai was thinking maybe too much of being a quarterback. With his, minute figure, was too worried about bobbling that football loose, so he went with the safe slide option. And now it's going to be a third and short situation for the San Diego Mavericks. What are they going to do here?
Third and short. They'll go with a fullback dive. It's Bravado, and Bravado has it and more, rolling over Meerkat for more yards.
There's that bruising power of Bravado that we saw just once in the first half that got himself 4 yards. This time he doubles that number, if not more, from that push through. And that, like the chat says, MTC, move the chains.
So now from the 37-yard line, it'll be a brand new set of downs. First and 10. Pickler with time, looking middle. That is in and out of the hands of Robo. Incomplete. Robo thinks he should have had it.
Yeah, and that was just, a B.E. Robo sandwich, with the slices of bread being, it looked like it was Daniel Wright and Derek Meerkat, both safeties coming in to the middle to squash any catch.
4 wide now for San Diego, as Nakai will take over for McWaffle at halfback for the play. Quick drop, Looking to throw middle. It is nearly intercepted. It is intercepted after the tip. Meerkat playing center field comes away with the second pick of the ball game.
Yeah, two fantastic plays from Derek Meerkat being part of the BE Robo sandwich, and this time just getting his hands on the football, and that's the riskiness you get from a Johnny Pickler kind of offense. He's going to throw the ball a lot, and it goes straight into the hands of Meerkat. Again, a little bit underthrown, just kind of lasering it instead of trying to rainbow pass it, which sometimes works. This time it falls into the hands of the safety, and now Minnesota has the football back, and they could really make San Diego pay.
13th interception for Derek Meerkat on his career, as Minnesota will now have the ball with Colin Hard. He gets a couple extra yards as he fights over more turf with Nate Hall, the safety.
And this is where Minnesota can really trust on that bell cow running back in Colin Hart. We talked about how few carries that he's had so far, but in this 24/7 game, this is just right into Colin Hart's wheelhouse. He could probably touch that football for the rest of the game if he wanted to.
Real question at that point will be, will San Diego be powerless to stop him, as Hart gets the call again, following his blockers and getting out of another tackle, and would have been gone had it not been for Tanner Hendricks.
Exactly what I was thinking. If it wasn't for Hendricks coming in from essentially Colin Hart's blind side, there was wide open field on the right side of the field. Could have been, another touchdown for Colin Hart, and that would have been just, another day in the office.
Delayed handoff, Hart through the middle, got a great hole for him to run through, and it's 8 more for Hart.
Yeah, and San Diego was really ready for a passing play there, but instead they go with the delayed handoff, and it gives them so much breathing room on that second level. Easy 8 yards for Hart.
4 yards away from 150 on the ball game for Mr. Colin Hart. Linebackers show blitz. Here they come, but they can't get Hart before he gets another gain of about 5. And that's another Minnesota legend. First down.
Yeah, and you could hear it from the Minnesota crowd. Another Minnesota legend. First down. As they just continue piling up the plays, eating up the clock, feeding it to their bell cow running back. It's just easy goings on this drive for the legend.
And off again, Hart. Taken down by Nate Hall, as, well, he can't really, unless you have a river or a stream, can't really get in the boat and smooth sail through the river. But right now, it looks like Minnesota has a compass and a map to get through these tall trees, aka San Diego defenders.
Well, it's the land of 1,000 lakes here in Minnesota, so it's easy navigation for them because they're so used to navigating through lakes.
Oh yeah, you betcha, don't you know, as Hart gets another handoff, and that's another easy gain of about 3 yards.
And just keep feeding him, and just feed him more. Feed me more, says the Ryback, over probably the biggest fan of the Minnesota legend right now, as Colin Hart continues just to push forward, and I don't think they really mind this 3rd and 2 situation here.
Third downs have been pretty solid here for the legend. They're 50% right now, 2 of 4 in the ball game. They'll go back to the ground game. Hart looking left side, and they will convert again on 3rd down on the drive as they get close to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, it's just, again, easy goings, easy, smooth sailings for Minnesota here, as they, again, great blocking from all involved, getting that open space for Hart to get it felt like an easy first down, because that was just a clear path past the first down marker.
Look backfield, they're on 1st down, and Hart, another carry. And that one results in a few yards, and unfortunately there's an injury on the play, and it's a San Diego linebacker, Jeff Gagne, unable to return to his feet on his own power.
And it just feels like bad to worse here from San Diego now that their deficit is just compounding worse and worse because of Minnesota's just a great defense through these 2.5 quarters. Now Stonehands goes down, a very reliable veteran, a leader on that linebacking core. You don't need that to happen here in this game situation.
That'll mean the rookie Alpha Rukamino will more than likely have to step up in his place as they hand off to Hart again. As he bounces off a few tackles, looking for the corner, out of a tackle, and into the end zone again. Touchdown, Colin Hart.
Now you're just making this too easy. You're making it look like running backs in this league just have all the easiness that they can because they can't get touched by a defender. Spins by one, slips by another, gets to the end zone, and that completes the hat trick of touchdowns for Colin Hart. Extend this lead even bigger for Minnesota. And can we say this halfway through the third quarter? It's becoming a rout a bit here.
10th rushing touchdown on the young season for Colin Hart. Extra point is up and good. 31-7 your score here from Northwood Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now available free to download, you can play the SFL video game on the go on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, an emulator for 4K23, right in the palm of your hand. Order your Retroid today at GoRetroid.com. Search SFL and download our mod at simulationfl.net/4K23. Retroid, the official console of the SFL. So here comes Johnny Pickler and the rest of the San Diego offense. They're in a pretty big hole. Any sort of positivity, any sort of points as well would be welcome change of pace for them. Looking right side, and that's in and out of the hands of Eagle Mondavi. Incomplete. Earcat on the hit, jarred the ball free, and it brings up 2nd and 10 here for San Diego. 5-step drop, Pickler looking over the middle, and it's picked off again. 3rd interception of the ball game. Stephen Black calls it in, and Minnesota will take over in prime real estate.
Yeah, and that's been the story of this third quarter for Johnny Pickler. No completions. It just seems like whenever there's anything close to it, his receivers kind of bobble the football loose. And again, the story is underthrowing the football, which is leading to these linebackers getting easy attempts for these interceptions. Now, 3 interceptions for this Minnesota defense.
Minnesota will start the drive near the 26-yard line of San Diego. A handoff for Hart. He hurdles one man, but is picked up and slammed to the turf by Freddie Trammell.
And it's going to be the same thing that we saw in the last Minnesota offensive drive. Just feed the ball to Colin Hart, see how far he takes you, and it's in a much closer proximity to the end zone. So this might be a little bit shorter if they get to pay dirt one more time.
And off for Hart again near side. No gain on that play. He's brought down by Zach Holdorf for no gain. And another 3rd down upcoming. But right now, any sort of points for Minnesota really puts another nail in a proverbial coffin for San Diego.
Yeah, and you look at that lead right now. You push that even further at any point, and it's going to make it even more insurmountable for the.
They're going to look to pass. 5-man rush, looking middle, open is Jason France. They sent the blitz. They left the big old tight end free, and it's 1st and goal. Legend.
Yeah, and this San Diego defense is starting to get broken down by this mix and match Minnesota offense that I don't think they were really prepared for. They weren't ready for that pass early in that first half, and it's led to Reno's success. And now that they're starting to run the football a little bit more, it's led to Colin Hart's success. It's just been all-around success so far, especially in this third quarter for Minnesota.
And off Hart, the 5, no further, brought down by Tom Krieg, the corner.
And what San Diego needs to do here is to find that success that they had on that first goal line stand that forced Minnesota to kick the first points of the game, the field goal, out of it, and maybe they can find a spark all throughout.
Heavy look here for the legend. Handoff. Hart trying to break free. Can't do it. Gains maybe 3-2, but Hall defines backbone if I ever saw one.
Yeah, it's just that stand that San Diego wants, and they need one more. They got about a yard away from getting to the end zone. They really need to push back the San Diego defense.
Another handoff. Hart follows his blockers. He's in for touchdown number 4 on the ball game in Minnesota. I don't know how the legend got AA, but they have completely obliterated the San Diego defense.
Yeah, it's just been third quarter domination from the Minnesota Legend from top to bottom. Defense has been spectacular. Offense has been even more so, and has now led to this 30-point lead, maybe 31 after the extra point.
To make it 38-7 on Trotz, Mickey Malillo. Snap spot kick is up, and it is good for Minnesota, as it was a quick 6-play, 27-yard drive after the interception. And that just goes to show you, partner, what kind of a fortress that Minnesota have built Northwood Stadium into. Over their short, now it's their third season in existence. This is their 15th game here at Northwood Stadium, partner. They have only lost 2 of those games.
Yeah, and that's a fortress that you want coming into home. You know, the biggest fortress is always Baltimore's SGO Stadium. Minnesota's building their own.
Comes a solid return. Following their blockers all the way to it was Gardner, and that's all the way to the San Diego 28-yard line. And at this point, down by 31, nothing is truly impossible, but what are they going to be able to do? I mean, you got to find some positivity. Pickler has to be more proficient and prolific in the passing game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just about pinpointing his passes. We've seen flashes of that in this game so far from Pickler, but a lot of times he's just trying to laser that ball instead of trying to arc it, and that's what's resulted in the 3 interceptions, just 2 in this quarter alone.
Pickler looking middle. Benji Matson with the nice grab, and that picks up 5.
Yeah, and the quick hits have been, you know, that small shining light on the offense so far for San Diego that has worked a couple times now at this point. I believe the quick hits have worked on 3 separate occasions now.
47% passing completion percentage there for Pickler. That's his season average as well. So he'll hand off for McWaffle, and McWaffle pushing the pile will pick up the first down.
Yeah, and that's what San Diego's offense needs to have, is that desire, that push to keep moving forward despite this, what feels like impossible comeback to happen. There's still plenty of football left. Nothing's impossible, and it starts on this drive here.
All 4 of the linebackers getting off the line and forming a direct line at the 43-yard line. We'll see if that helps out the coverage. Pass into coverage, bounces off a couple helmets, and rolls the turf incomplete.
Yeah, and it was Minnesota's linebackers just begging Pickler to pass it, and pass he did. All 4 linebackers step back, you know, creating this wall on the middle side. So any chance of going left or right, it felt like the outside linebackers were ready for a deflection.
Second down here for San Diego. Minute 38 to go here in quarter number 3. Pitch play near side. That's Bravado, the fullback playing as a tailback, and he will rumble forward for a gain of 2 as Daniel Wright takes him down out of bounds.
That's probably the toughest 2 yards that Bravado has had to make all day, as he's usually pushing forward instead of on the outside, but they go with a little bit of a stretch, see where he can go, and he's got Minnesota defenders all around him, so he was, blessed to get those 2 yards.
That'll bring up a third down passing situation here for Pickler with 5 wide receivers.
They're going to load up that right side.
Pickler will look to throw. Has a really good pocket. Has plenty of time to throw. And it's in and out of the hands of Eagle Montalvi. He was one-on-one with his opposite number, and he just couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, and that was a fantastic pass from Pickler as well. It was only to the hands of Eagle Montalvi, but like you said, in and out. And that's been the story for these receivers, it feels like, especially in this third quarter.
1:05 to go in the third quarter. Henry Glenn will punt this one away. His fourth punt of the ball game as Rick Evans maybe should have called for a fair catch as Sudo Nakai enacts some revenge on the return man.
Yeah, and revenge and a lot of frustration coming from that John Cena-esque flying shoulder tackle from Sudo Nakai. And now Minnesota, it's as free as they want at this point. With less than a minute to go in this third quarter, I wouldn't be too surprised if it's the Colin Hart show once again.
They'll start the drive with three wide receivers in the formation. They will go to Colin Hart through the middle, running with defenders as Danny Carmichael will take him down. It'll be 2nd and 4.
And let's just continue going. Colin Hart, see where you can set this momentum. See how far you can take us. We talked about only 12 carries in the first half. We're talking about 18 in this quarter alone now.
Offset eye behind Reno as they go back to the ground game here with Hart. Nothing doing this time around as Ryland Caudill alongside Trammell will take him down. 3rd down.
Yeah, and that's what San Diego needs to do. They know that Minnesota will just run this football, especially on 1st and 2nd downs. Now this is where the mystery comes in. Are they going to throw it? Are they going to pass it on this 3rd medium?
This could be the final play before the end of the quarter. Reno will look to throw. He'll dump it off for Colin Hart. And Colin Hart stretches through defenders and rolling over with Ryland Caudill. It's another 1st down for Minnesota as the clock gets 000 in the quarter. It's 38-7, all Minnesota, as we send it over to Chris Curtis, who will tell you what your rights are. This is the SFL, presented by 8 p.m. Music on YouTube.
Of the Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Welcome back to Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm Tyler Falk, joined in the broadcast booth by my partner Brett Solberg. A special thank you to our statisticians Zach Holdorf and Ike McBride, who have been keeping us up to date all game long. And a special thank you, of course, to the SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine, who is our producer this evening. And we want to welcome you for sticking with us here this Sunday afternoon from wherever you might be in this wide, wide world. Reno will look to throw on 1st down over the middle. It's Jason France to the 40-yard line, and they come out firing instead of running the ball to begin quarter number 4 with a 31-point lead.
And now we've seen this story a couple times here from this passing offense. Give it to Jason France on these 15-yard plays. This time, nice little post to the middle of the field, kind of gets himself just open enough for Reno to toss that rock. And now 3 catches, 50 yards, easy going for Jason France.
Just 1 incompletion when targeting Jason France today. Very reliable target. Formerly at Tulsa and back in his Memphis River Runner days, a big beastie tight end was making all those catches. Season in, season out. Hart gets another 2 yards.
Yeah, and just as the passing game was going to go right back to Colin Hart. And I think the name of the game right now is just shed that clock. Wait until it gets to 000s and celebrate win number 2 at this point. They're up 31. Why not celebrate a little bit early?
Reno to throw here on 2nd down, and that's a little bit of life here from Ryland and Cam Frosby. They'll take him down for a sack.
Yeah, a little bit of life now from the San Diego defense, kind of giving it a tough time. Al-Farouq Amino with that initial gonna shed off from Reno, and then Caudill kind of finishes it off and gets the sack, and now forces a passing situation here. 3rd and 12, and they got 5 receivers ready to go.
5 wide receivers from the 42-yard line. Reno, middle, one-handed. Calia, wide open. Wasn't a defender around him in about a 5-yard radius.
Yeah, and I don't think you can get that wide open down the middle of the field with safeties so far away. We talk about the open hole between the linebackers and the safeties, and look how wide open that was. It felt like you could walk into Area 51 and just be still that wide open. Vin Calia, probably one of the easiest catches he's made so far today.
93 yards on 6 receptions for Vin Calia. Another solid day for Johnny Reno as well. 81% completion percentage. As Hart will try and push his left tackle forward a little bit more, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, and I don't think Hart minds that at all for him. I think it's just more so time shedding and continuing this possession battle, earing to the side of Minnesota, which it already is, but why not dominate the time possession at the end of the game?
9th play of the drive. Reno rolling
Boom.
under pressure. Down he goes. Freddie Trammell sings lullabies to Johnny Reno.
And that was just the easiest read for Freddie Trammell as well. Breaks through the line. Nobody was ready. Not even Colin Hart was ready for Freddie Trammell to come in. And that bootleg right is a no-go. Boot, no thanks.
Another 3rd and long here for Minnesota. 3rd and Lake Minnetonka to go. Blitz coming. Reno middle caught nearly 14.5 yards for Jake Taylor. Just needed an extra shoestring to get there.
And close, but no cigar, says Tanner Hendricks, as he let the catch happen, but he was more worried on preventing that first down. But the big thing here is that Minnesota's still going to come out of this with points. Mickey Melillo will come in with a 36-yard attempt.
Snap spot. Mickey's kick is up, and it is good. 41-7, Minnesota with a 34-point advantage over San Diego. 8 p.m. Music is unrivaled music to bring your stories to life, inspiring every production with the world's most robust and constantly refreshed music collection, state-of-the-art technology, and world-class customer service. 8 p.m. Music is the official soundtrack of the Simulation Football League. To explore their library and to find the perfect tracks for your projects, visit 8pmmusic.com. Here comes Nakai on the return. She has plenty of room to rumble on the left-hand side. Lely got a block, and Lely with the best return of the ball game to the 41-yard line as we shoot it back to Cameron Irvine at SFL headquarters for a game break.
Thank you, Tyler. Check out this run from Nick Hoagland at the end of the first half of the Charleston-Jacksonville game. Hoagland's effort gets the ball right over the pylon for the touchdown, but Jacksonville struck back for a score. 21-20 in the third. A good one there when you're done in Minnesota. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Cam. Jacksonville have really turned a corner, and so have Charleston. That's a really good game to go and watch alongside ours, or as soon as we conclude matters here in about 6 minutes time. Pickler looking near side, and that's a much more composed pass we've seen him make as of late, as he will find Robo.
Yeah, slant in this time for Robo, and that's what the doctor ordered. At least for Pickler, as he's struggled, especially in this second half. Has only had now 2 completions in this second half. His completion percentage still under 50%. It's something that they just need to improve on as this time keeps going.
And off for McWaffle left side, trying to pounce out of defenders and get further upfield, but Juan Mississippi, along others, take him down after a gain of 1.
Yeah, just great pursuit from the linebacking core of Minnesota, preventing McWaffle from getting any breakout run and really resulting in just a yard.
Offensive line shifts in. Blitz coming. Pickler nearly threw it away again. 4th down upcoming for San Diego.
And I think this week, Miles Gibson is going to be in Johnny Pickler's nightmares after this game, as that's basically almost his 3rd interception in this game, Gibson, because he's had 3 fantastic attempts to hold on to the football. And once again, San Diego's going to punt this football away.
With 5 minutes and change to go, not even going to attempt a 4th down conversion as Rick Evans gets taken down at the 14-yard line. Tomorrow night, join the Monday night crew, Cameron Irvine, Mike O'Neill, and Paul Sarp on a journey through this past weekend that was in the SFL at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Vancouver's home opener at the Delta Dome against the Las Vegas Fury. Both teams fresh off a bye. It's all happening right here on SFL YouTube. And off for Hart. See plenty more of him as we've seen throughout the end of that 3rd quarter, and now is to start off the 4th quarter, picks up 6 yards.
Yeah, and we were questioning whether Colin Hart was going to get his carries into the second half, and now the question is going to be, will Colin Hart get himself 45 carries, as he's gotten to 33 at this point? Will he get over the 40 mark in carries today?
Always a good possibility. We see a lot of these starters stay longer in games than we have in previous years, as Hart gets another call, another gain of about maybe 5 yards to move the sticks.
Just moving the chains. That's what Minnesota wants to do. They want to just, shed that clock off, get closer and closer to celebrating this win here, because with 5 minutes left, and I feel like this lead is now officially impossible. Minnesota's just going to keep running that clock.
Hart again on the call. Gains another 4 yards before being brought down, and so Minnesota, more than likely at this point, partner, going to move to 2-1 following today's game, and they'll stay here at home next weekend when they'll play Sioux Falls in this 3-game homestand that Minnesota find themselves in. Goal line eye here for the Legend as they'll begin to really milk the clock for all it's worth. 4 blockers here for Hart, picked up and slammed down by Bob Funk after he got the 1st down. And the clock will roll as we continue to talk more about the upcoming opponent for Minnesota. Sioux Falls had a really solid game against Denver here yesterday, Brett.
Yeah, and it was something the doctor ordered for Sioux Falls as well, because the big thing coming into that 3rd game for Sioux Falls is that they have great first halves, but can't seem to finish it off. This time, with Denver right in their heels, they find a way to finish things off, winning 43-35 at home and getting a dub.
Will Sioux Falls be able to keep the momentum, or will they fly into Northwood Stadium like San Diego has and be blown to smithereens? Hart again on the call. Oh, a nice little move from Hart. He picks up 9 more yards. And meanwhile, for San Diego, it's both these teams coming in, partner. Both have had blowout wins for one of their first 2 games, then both lost by a single possession. It seems like the trend continues for Minnesota to blow out teams at home, but unfortunately for San Diego, they'll probably fall to 1-2 at the end of this, and they will face Las Vegas in Vegas, as unlike Minnesota, they're on a 3-game road trip.
Yeah, and in San Diego, they can't fall too far behind in this West Division, especially, with Denver, starting to make the up and ups again. We talk about how Denver's slowly improving themselves, but you still got those juggernauts in that division with Las Vegas and Arizona, both currently undefeated, 1-0, 2-0 respectively.
Hart again on the call, another 1st down. Wash, rinse, repeat. 1st down, Minnesota, as we go back to talking about Vegas. They will play tomorrow night in the Cam and Paul, and I guess we throw in Mike O'Neill, head coach of San Diego, into the mix. So it's, what do we call this? Cam, Paul, Mike Spectacular? That might be confused with MSG, Mike St. Green, Cam's old studio host.
Yeah, you don't want to get that confused. We already confused MSG with Madison Square Garden, and now we're saying Mite St. Green. It's getting a tough time for us booth callers here to keep all these acronyms in shape here. But please, SFL players, don't make any more acronyms. We already had a tough time with BDG.
So maybe we go with this. I got it. If we combine a few different other letters, you have got either Cop, Cam, O'Neill, Pauly. No? The only acronym I know is NUTMA, and I know what that stands for, because unlike Cam, Paul, and Mike, nobody ever tell me anything.
Yeah.
As we hit the 2-minute warning in this one, it's up to Minnesota to maybe have a little bit of mercy on San Diego at this point, 41-7 here at home as they look to close out win number 2 in season 21. Two to go in a game that has been all Minnesota all game long. And we see someone other than Hart come away with the run. The fullback gets the call. And San Diego, playing a little bit of mind games, will call their first of 3 timeouts.
And going back to, looking forward for the Legend, their next 3 games are going to be tough. It's going to be tough competition. They have their final 2 games of their homestand with Sioux Falls, then Houston, and then they will go on the road against Denver. So that one's going to be, a tough 3-game stretch, and it looks like they're going to be ready for it here after this performance against San Diego.
Hard to get on the call. Just bullying his way for another first down, 11 more yards to his tally as he does hit 40 attempts on the ground.
Yeah, and it's just easy goings here for Colin Hart, crossing 200 yards, going past 225 of rushing, and it's just been complete domination on the run game. 190, or let's bring that to 210 rushing yards total from Minnesota in the second half.
Hart again through the middle, 5 more on the play as San Diego call their 3rd and final timeout. A game that has seen Mike O'Neill and Brooke come to wars on the field. A game that has seen so many former London teammates from last year fight on the field. It's the guys in green who have taken down the guys in white and military green as Hart gets another call, breaking out of tackle, and that's touchdown number 5 for Colin Hart. 12 total now here in the season. And had it not been for time, Minnesota could have well been putting up a 50-burger. It's 47-7, a 40-point cushion for Minnesota.
Let's just remember at one point in the second quarter, San Diego was leading 7-3. And now we've seen 44 unanswered points from the Minnesota Legend, a dominating third quarter, and just an easy as you go fourth quarter has led to this result. Second half dominance from the Legend.
Mickey's extra point is up and good. 48-7. Legend, minute 41, for taking their second win of season 21 here in the SFL. Kickoffs away. Here comes Lili Nakai on the return. Had a brilliant one on her last return. This one pretty decent as well, up to the 30-yard line. She has been a bright spot for San Diego today.
Yeah, now for San Diego, this last minute and 47, they have to play with some pride here. They've been, thoroughly dominated in the second half, and really, it's looked like all Minnesota at this point. So they need to play, these last 97 seconds here with some pride.
So Pickler will trot to the line. He has got 5 wideouts in the pattern for him, as they will potentially try and quickly march down and get into double digits for points. Pickler to throw. Left side, it is picked off Going back the other way is Zomelia, and Zomelia will put the icing on the cake for Minnesota. That's the kind of day that Pickler's had in the second half. Nothing doing. There's nothing that San Diego could do today. It's been all excellent game planning, and Minnesota really turned it around in the second half to really just waltz away with this game.
You know, and it might have looked like Stuart Zomelia, but let's give credit to the guy who got the interception. Daniel Wright, have yourself a day. He's got 5 tackles in this game, and now he adds an interception to his list. The 4th culprit of the Minnesota interception team, and now Minnesota in their most favorite position of all, the victory formation.
It's a flying V, and not a flying V for San Diego, as Minnesota will just wait out all this clock. They will go to 2-1. San Diego will fall to 1-2, and the only blemish for Minnesota was that excellent game a week ago versus Alamo City. What things could have been, partner, if Minnesota were able to have a much more composed game plan in San Antonio.
Yeah, and that would have broken open that Central Division lead. But now, still in the thick of things, every win counts moving forward, and we're not even past week 3 at this point, and we're talking about how every win counts in that Central Division.
Reno with another kneel down as a quick scoreboard update from Cameron Irvine. Charleston 23, Jacksonville 21, as they are entering the 4th quarter of play. You can also catch that game right here on SFL YouTube. Following this game, we appreciate you sticking around throughout all 40 minutes of regulation here at the Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Again, want to thank Zach Holdorf and Ike McBride, our statisticians, and of course Cameron Irvine back at SFL headquarters, our producer and SFL commissioner. Of course, Brett, you have been excellent today as well, and so have all the fine people here watching alongside us, watching Minnesota take down San Diego. 2 brilliant teams, but unfortunately only one could come away with the victory, and that was the Minnesota Legend. Final score, 48-7 in favor of the Legend in a completely dominant fashion.
Yeah, and it seemed like San Diego had a possibility in that second half to really turn things around, but it just comes as simple as this. Only 38 total yards of offense from the San Diego Mavericks in that second half, and that's just not going to work. 1 quarter of scoring, you cannot have an offense like that moving forward. Minnesota took them it felt like they took them to the woodshed, especially in that 3rd quarter. You see there 21 third quarter points, and more importantly, it's going to be 45 unanswered Minnesota points after it was 7-3. That's the big thing for me. Aside from that, time possession, dominated. Average field position, dominated. Quarterback play, dominated. Running back play, dominated. Defensive play, absolutely dominated. Every portion of Minnesota's game, they dominated San Diego, and I don't like, as much as Mike O'Neill was ready for it felt like they were ready for them. He'll say it himself. He probably needed another 40 hours of scouting to get ready for this game.
All right, partner, quickly, your player of the game.
Is there anybody else at this point? A dominating second half performance from Colin Hart, 42 carries, 274, and 5 touchdowns. I got my hand out like Booker T right now. 5 touchdowns.
Thank you, Brad. For Brett Solberg and the rest of the crew here from Northwood Stadium, I've been Tyler Falk. More action to come later tonight here on the SFL YouTube. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Better.